Good morning from Lake Life Crochet Shop. Today we are going to make that mini pumpkin that I was telling you about. And right here are the supplies that you'll need. Pick any 4-weight yarn that you would like to use in any color. I have a number 5 hook, scissors, small darning needle, cinnamon stick, and some jute made into a little bow to decorate the top like you see here on these little pumpkins. This pumpkin can be made in 4 different sizes, and I'll give you the measurements and the sizes on the other ones as we go through this video. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make a slip knot, and we are going to chain 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now we're going to do single crochet back down the chain, and normally you'd be picking up that loop right there, but we're going to flip it over and you'll know why later. And you see the little back bumps right here, those are what we're going to pick up, and there'll be 12 of them because we skipped the first one on the way back. So we're going to go right under there. 1, 2, 3. Now this is a little more difficult than doing it the other way. It takes a little time, but it's well worth it to do it this way because it'll make you have a cleaner product at the end, and I'll show you why. So that's 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. And that's what the beginning looks like. Now we're going to do 20 rows. We're going to do back loop only, single crochet, and on this pattern your chain is going to count as a row. So as of right now we would have 2 rows made already. So once you do that, the rest of the pattern, like I said, is back loop only, and you always chain 1 when you turn. So you chain 1 and then turn clockwise. Now you have this right here. You don't go into the chain, but you're going to do the back loop, which where you see the V, it's the back one, which is that one right there. Now we're going to do 12 all the way across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, chain 1, turn it to you, and then you're going to do the back loop again. And like I said, we're going to do 20 rows. I'm going to stay here with you, do this live. So it's 12 stitches all the way. And once you get a few rows in, I'll show you how easy it is to count the rows, so you don't need to use a counter or anything as you're going to figure out what row you're on. So you just continually do the back loops. And as you get going, you want to definitely make sure, like you might think you're at the end there, because the last one's a little hard to find, so you need to turn your work a little bit and make sure you never miss that last one. That way you always have the same amount of stitches. And on this pumpkin, since it's so small, you can just keep counting to 12 as you're doing it if you want to. That way you make sure you always have the same number. So we're going to do a couple more rows here, and then I'll show you how you can count what row you're on. So just continue to do the back loop only. Like I said, I do have 4 different sizes of these to show you. And then I'll give you the measurements on them also. So if you use a different size yarn, you could change the number of stitches and stuff that you do. Just always make sure that whatever kind of stitch that you use, that your size of your material that you're crocheting is always the same, so that your pumpkins will be the right size. So we're just going to keep going here, and all this is just your regular single crochet. You're just doing it in the back loop only. And you can see there, it almost looks like we're at the end, but if you tilt it just a little bit, you can make sure you do not miss that one. Okay, and then when you have your starting yarn on your right hand side, you can count the humps, and each hump is 2, so that's 2, 4, and this is the hump of the next one, it's 6, so we have 6 rows. So we need to do 14 more. So we just keep on going, and we're going to have this pumpkin made together. So by the end of this video, you will have one of these little pumpkins made. We just keep on going. Chain 1 and turn. I hope that's enough light that you can see what I'm doing. And this is really quick. This doesn't really take that long to do. This is nice if you're doing any craft shows before Thanksgiving through the fall. I would probably just sell these for like $5, because they really do not take that much time at all to make. And using the cinnamon stick, I actually didn't tell you, but I use a glue gun, so you can glue it in there with whatever that you want. But people tend to want to pick the pumpkin up by the stem, and if you glue it in, then you don't have to worry about it falling out of your pumpkin. And plus with the cinnamon, once the cinnamon loses the smell, you can just use essential oil and drip cinnamon smell back on top of it. That way you have that nice fall smell of the cinnamon. See, and I never count my rows until I'm back on this side, because that's where you're even. That's why you count that chain row, because when you're counting them, it gives you an even number. with the yarn on the same side when you end. We're probably almost about halfway with the pumpkin. And you can pause it if I'm going too fast, or speed it up if I'm going too slow. But here in a second, I am going to give you a measurement of the pumpkin that is one size up from the one that we are working on right now. So chain 1 and turn, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we are halfway. So I am going to show you the measurements of the second size, the one that's up a little bit larger than this one, and that would be this size right here. And you can see, as compared to the one we are making, the size difference that it is. And with that one, this is what your material looks like once you've had it crocheted. And that one measures 4 inches by about 5.5. And you can also see on this one, you can count the rows, the bumps: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. This one has 28 rows. It started out with a chain of 18. As of this one started with 13. And the pattern and how we're making it is exactly the same. So that is the second size that we are working with. So if you are all caught up with me, we're going to continue. And then I will give you the information for the third size up, and I'll show you one of those pumpkins that's already finished, so you can see the size difference in them. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, chain 1 and turn your work. Then back loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, chain 1, turn. You can see how fast this whips up. Really doesn't take all that long to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Keep on going. We are getting there. And like I said, you can work this in any size, any thickness of yarn that you want. It'll just change the size of your pumpkin. But the patterns and stuff stay exactly the same, so you can create a whole different kind of pumpkin patch. Because I even made some. I think I have one here that I could show you that I made with a plush yarn. Yeah, this one. This is the same pattern we're working on now, but this is that plush, and it's number 5 yarn, and you can see the difference. But it's the exact same pattern. It's just because it's a thicker yarn that it made the pumpkin a little bit thicker. All right, let's see how many more we have to do. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We're getting there. Only need 20. 1, 2, I think after this we just have a couple more rows. And we will have enough crocheted to be able to sew it into a pumpkin. All right, let's count how many we have. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we just need to go back and forth, and that'll be our last 2 rows. So let's get across this, and then I'll show you the measurements to the 3rd size up and give you the number of chains and the number of rows on that one, and then show you the size difference on that pumpkin. And then you can catch up if you're not this far on your crocheting. Kind of going a medium speed. And then this is going to be our last. And you always want to make sure, and you should know the count is right by the hump rows that you can count. But your yarn is always on the same side when you end as your starting yarn. All right, 2 more stitches. Get it in there. then you're going to do your chain, but pull it through and leave yourself a couple feet of yarn. That's how much yarn that I left, to make sure that you have enough to sew it closed. So let's go ahead and do the measurements on this one. So this is the smallest one. So it's about 2 3/4 by about 5. And that's the size of your mini one. And that was the other one that we did. And then this is the third next size up. And that pumpkin is this size. So you have that one, and then the little one right here that we're working on. So this one that I'm measuring now is the size of this purple one. So get those out of the way. And then we will measure this one for you. So this one measures 5.5 wide and about 8 1/4, so about 8 inches in length for that one. And the chains on that one is a 25 chain, so you're chaining 25, and then you're doing 40 rows. And you can see by doing the back loop, that's how you get these ridges, which gives the pumpkin the really nice texture around the edge. Kind of automatically gives it that pumpkin look. So this one's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. And the last one is 40. And you can see the yarn is always on the same side. All right, put those off to the side. Now we're going to go back to this one. Let me grab a little bit of stuffing. You will need a little bit of fill for that one, not much. I'm going to use probably about that much, which is not too much. Wad it all up. So put that off to the side. Now what you're going to do, you're going to need the smaller needle, because it gets kind of tight. So the larger yarn needles makes it very hard to sew it together. All right, so now what you're gonna do is with your end tail up here at the top, you're gonna fold it. Now the reason why we grabbed the back loops when we were doing the chain is so that you can actually see the V's of your starting chain. It looks just like the V's of your ending chain, which makes sewing at the end easier, and then you will never know where the pumpkin was sewn together, because with this stitch it actually resembles every one of these other rows. So what you're going to do, and you don't want to get your finish off stitch, but your last stitch you're getting the back loop, and in your chain you're getting the back loop. So you can see where I'm grabbing that in the V's. It's just the back loops. So take that and then just pull it. And I usually take that little tail then and I just stuff it in there. So that when you're looking at the V's, back loop, back loop, pull your yarn through. Back loop, back loop. That was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. When you're closing them, you should have just as many of these stitches as you did when you're doing the rows, which makes it match up. And you see how it looks just like the other ones. All right, now with that done, your yarn is on this side. Now we're going to close up this end right here, and this is going to be the bottom. There's no turning this inside out or doing anything. It's all the way that it's supposed to be. So now on every one of the rows that's a hump at the very top, you want to go under at least 2 pieces of yarn. So I turn it, and I usually will find what kind of looks like a V right here, and it doesn't matter which two. So I'm just going to thread through there and do the same thing on this one. And they look kind of like they're little V's where you turned. So go under that one and under that one. And just pull your yarn and go all the way around. And that's how we are going to pull the bottom closed. And you'll see why we left such a long tail, because you're just going to use this yarn to finish up the whole pumpkin. And pull, and you see how that closed up? And with it closed, you see this is where it's tight. I'm just trying to push my needle through and try to go around it again. Make sure that it's super tight. And then I go over one yarn and back the other way. That way it cinches it. It won't come loose. You see how tight that is. But that's good because you know it's not going anywhere. And then that's what you have right now. And that's the bottom all closed. Leave your yarn on your needle. All I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get my gun, my glue gun. Turn it on. I'm going to get that heated up right there. And while that's heating up, we are going to stuff. I might not use all this, so let me just rip off some of it. Open up the center. Just kind of work that in there. And you don't really need a whole lot in the small pumpkin. So once you have a little bit in, I usually push from the center to get it to the outside edges. Makes a little hole in the center. And I'm going to grab a little bit more. So see, this is what's left. So I'm not really using that much. And I'll put that in there. Make a little hole in the center. Bottom. Kind of a hole in there. And that's where I'm going to put the glue around the end of the cinnamon. And I'm going to stick it in there like that. So while my glue gun is heating up, I'm going to show you the last size. And this is the material for the last size. This is the largest of the 4 pumpkin sizes right here. And this one, you are going to make a chain of 36, and you're going to do 56 rows to get it to this size. And this one is measured. It's about 8 1/4 by 11 inches. And I'll lay the other two here so you can see the difference in the sizes. So you got your largest one, your next size, right there, and that size, and then the little one that we're working on now. So that gives you the 4 different size pumpkins. And get that out of the way, and I will show you this. That is the largest pumpkin right there. So you have this one and this one. And then you have this size, and then the baby right here. So those are your different size pumpkins right there. I got a couple of them tagged for my show, but they look really nice all set up together. And I'll have some pictures on my Instagram account of the pumpkins that I have made already. So I think our glue gun is ready. So with the hole in the middle, take my glue gun, put glue on the bottom of the cinnamon stick, and then I just kind of go around it. I'm going to make sure it's going to stay. Turn that off, put that aside. Then all I'm going to do is stick this with the glue into the fiberfill. Just like that. You're going to stick your needle in through the bottom. And out. Through the top. And what we're going to do on the top is going to be exactly the same as we closed up the bottom of the pumpkin. So now with your yarn up, you're going to go around the tops, all the ones that are raised, and you can almost see where it looks like that there's a little V right there. So go under that on the top of every one of them. Pull your yarn through, pull it. And it doesn't really matter which 2 yarns you go through, but it looks like a stitch turn there on the top, and it's just easy to go through those 2. Then you're just going through the exact same 2 at the end of these rows. You almost have a whole pumpkin made here. I think we just have one more to go on the top of. And then I start going through the same ones again. I'm just going to pull it really tight. Make sure all the fiberfill is in your pumpkin. Okay, pull it tight until it hugs the cinnamon stick. I kind of push it down a little bit, pull it tight, and then continue to go around it again to make sure that it's not going to open up. So go through the yarn and around. nice and tight. Kind of push it down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go put my needle in it and push it through the back side, all the way through the bottom. Like I said, this is where it gets a little tough, and that's why you need the smaller needle. Plus the stuffing that I'm using is for pillow stuffing. It's a little bit thicker than the regular fiber fill. So work the needle, punch through. Give it a little pull, brings that down. Now I'm going to hold it a little tight there so I can go through the bottom a couple times so that won't loosen up. Turn my glue gun back on so we can just put the little bow on the cinnamon. And how I hide the yarn on this one, once I've gone through and held it, you can see there's your little pumpkin that you have so far. Now if you look really close, you can see where the stitches, you can see a stitch going up and down right here. That's usually how I hide my yarn. So I will just come up through one of those holes right there, and you see the little loops right there. Just copy them up and down, however, and you can't even tell that they're there. Just do that a few times. You can't even see them right there. Now I'm going to snip my yarn. I'm going to take my little bow with my pumpkin, get my glue gun, put some glue on there, and take that and just attach that to your cinnamon stick. And then you have your cute little pumpkin. And I have all these few different colors of all the little small pumpkins that I made exactly the same way. And this looks really cute if you find fall variegated yarn, and however the colors end up, they are really pretty. So that is the pattern for the little small pumpkin. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to showing you some of my other patterns. Right now I am working on some Halloween trick-or-treat bags. I'm going to get those going along the way, and I will show you those and give you the pattern to those in the next couple days. So until then, I hope you enjoy making these little small pumpkins. These go really, really well at markets for this time of year. And like I said, they probably only take 15-20 minutes to do beginning to end. And you can sell them for like $5. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you here next time on Lake Life Crochet Shop. And remember, again, you can catch pictures of what I'm doing on my Instagram account, which is Lake Life Crochet Shop on Instagram. Thank you. Have a great day.